This is what's left here in Nampa of that plane crash that happened here last night around 5:40 p.m. We do know that 3 people have sadly died in that plane crash. Now, we do know the Federal Aviation Administration as well as the National Transportation Safety Board are coming here today to investigate what exactly happened.
Frightening moment just off the coast of North Carolina. This single-engine plane crashes into the ocean. His short flight quickly turned into a nightmare when the engine abruptly shut off.
There wasn't time to be afraid. Once it stopped, I just said, okay, I'm really going to be doing a water landing.
A private airplane landing at Pearson Airport reportedly faced a landing gear issue after touching down. The plane managed to taxi to the runway before making a stop. There were 2 crew on board, and Toronto Pearson reported no injury.
We now know why that Air India aircraft crashed last month, which killed 270 people, but magically 1 person survived. According to a 15-page preliminary report, it turns out that both engines had their fuel cut off before takeoff. The switch was flipped 3 seconds into the flight, and the flight itself only lasted 32 seconds.
What we can say is the runway was dry and there was no crosswind conditions. 18 injured passengers have been transported to the local area hospitals.
Oh, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Authentic Airlines Flight 555 bound for Toronto, Canada. Please fasten your seatbelts and hold your baby tight. You are in for a ride. You know what's so crazy? I went on a trip within a trip, and 2 of the flights, they literally said hold your baby tight. Wait, come again? Hey Visionaries, it's A back on your screen with another one. Hope you're well. As you can tell, today we are finally getting into the fear of flying. Maybe not the fear of flying, but I did hear that it's up there, top 3. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3. I know public speaking is one of them too. If you know what the other one is, let me know below. But today we're going to discuss some authentic angles, as this is part of the Authentic with Alisha pod. So if you're new and you want more, I do 4 audio pods over on Patreon and 1 video pod every month like this. So if you want to support and see more, you can head over there. As I mentioned, we're going to look at this from some authentic angles. The first is going to be safer skies, then we're going to talk about above and beyond, and wrap up with frequent flyers. I see all of you jet setting junkies all over the world. I'm amongst you too. So let's get into this episode. So as you probably have seen or heard, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's literally a plane. This is insane. I don't know if we set a world record. Can someone tell me? Because there is no way in the human history, even with the Wright brothers, I don't think so many planes went down back in their day. This is crazy. Anyway, let me know if I'm flying solo, but all these planes dropping out of the sky seem to be an economic indicator. And by that I mean, it's really demonstrating what's going on beyond policies, funding, cuts. I mean, human error is also a thing, and not keeping things up to code. Can we be real about that? Of course, there's some external factors like weather and natural disasters and just external things out of our control. But for the most part, if you read into some of these things and why they went wrong, rest in peace to everyone who's lost their life. Listen, I did not have a fear of flying for most of my life, and I can't really say that right now. On my most recent flight, I just came back from Japan. There was a tiny bit of turbulence, and I even caught myself. Now, I didn't do Hail Marys and scream hallelujah like the lady did a couple years back. That flight was a trip. I usually try to catch C's on my flight, so I was waking up abruptly, not to the turbulence, but to this lady screaming like the world was ending. And then there's the passengers who like to clap when the plane lands.
People clapping. This is normal. Airplanes land, people. That's what they do.
Safety is top of mind, and it just seems so weird that when we look up at the sky, it's really coming down to several things, including a shift of priorities. I'm not blaming the airlines necessarily, because let's just say I have the utmost respect for anyone who works in the industry, no matter what your job is. I know it's fast-paced and high energy, so respect for that. Something's up. Quite literally. Was it just a week ago that an Air India plane went up and went straight down?
Then finally and tragically into the ground.
I swear every time I hear about a plane, it's worse and worse and worse. I thought it was bad enough when the plane was landing upside down in my hometown, but ever since then it's just rapid fire, and I don't know. Anxiety unlocked, which is why I want to course correct and change my flight path of my mindset to looking at the other aspects of what might be happening. Flying is a luxury, if you ask me, and at least back in the day it used to be. Nowadays, the saying that flying is safer than driving doesn't really settle with me. In order to drive this Sentiment home, I looked up the stats. I try to stay away from statistics, say that 3 times fast, so you know it's serious when I try to look up the data. Allegedly, because I don't know if I believe this honestly, that it's 92 times safer to fly versus drive. Can someone pull that one back, maybe check the stats and run that one again, because the math doesn't seem like it's mathing. I know that a lot of us out here are thinking about the safety of flying because it's become such a big thing.
Do not get on an aircraft. Do not. Unless you absolutely got to. And it's just you trying to get from one place to another place one time and just stay where you're going. But don't be all that back and forth traveling.
It's beyond just safety because it's the entire sentiment of what it might mean to fly. It's stressful to go to the airport and make sure you have everything and make sure you have everything up to date and packed your bag properly. And now you have to pray before you get on the flight, which I did all the time before anyway. It's always been a risk to be up in the clouds, but it's really feeling like a risk right now. One of the things I told myself to calm down, an authentic angle I want to share with you, you gotta live fearlessly. And that might mean fearlessly flying or fearlessly pushing past and deciding whether it's going to be your fear or your desire that fuels you. On to the second angle, which is above and beyond, because I have a bone to pick with some of these airlines, and I'm sure you do too. I see a lot of customers complaining on social. Why is it that we are being nickeled and dimed for everything? The way they're rerouting the cost to the consumer is crazy. Back in the day, you used to be able to go on with one carry-on, one check bag. My most recent flight was the first time in at least a decade that I saw a complimentary check bag. Otherwise, you are racking up 60 to 80 Canadian dollars for that. I'm a carry-on princess, so I still pack with just a carry-on. But for those of you who like to be prepared and bring options, you should be allowed to within reason. I feel like maybe not 60 to 80 dollars if you gotta charge for that. And when you think about all the other fees, you gotta pay for your seat, even printing out your ticket sometimes, and you can also get a standing seat. Please tell me no one is actually doing that. It is so bad that Southwest is not so Southwest anymore. I'm a Canadian, so I've never actually flown with them, but I've only heard good things. Budget-friendly option. That's what set them apart. And now that they have new management that's making them not so Southwest, they're losing their core customer base. It's really sad to see, honestly, again, as an economic indicator, how these airlines are trying so hard to cut costs. And at what cost? Wrapping up this second angle before we look at the last, another stat I want to share with you is that it is 37% more expensive to fly than it was 30 years ago, but still cheaper than 50 years ago when you adjust for inflation. I can't say that word. During one of my worst experiences, it was this time last year. I went to Atlanta, and when I came back, I didn't get a notification that my flight was canceled and it wouldn't be rescheduled for 24 hours. So I'm at the airport early, wondering why it's so eerily quiet, only to realize my flight was canceled. And being visually impaired, I'm already in my head about finding my gate and making sure I find my way. They gave me 2 vouchers as an apology, which was enough to pay for 1 bowl with noodles and shrimp. I guess shrimp is a hot commodity in these airports. I don't know. It was after that I realized that that's not a rarity. That's not a one-off. A lot of airlines are doing the bare minimum to compensate their consumers when they inconvenience them. Luckily, I gave myself a buffer day. Otherwise, I would have missed a day at work, and the type of work I did at the time, you cannot play with that. It also loops back to the first angle about this being an economic indicator, because when companies don't have money to spend, they are the most ruthless with the cuts. Lastly, let's discuss frequent flyers. Flying is up more than ever before. In 2020, it was 1.8 billion. I don't have notes. I can't see a script. Life legally blind, so I'm going off the dome. This year so far, 5 billion worldwide travelers. That is nothing to sneeze at. As such, you would expect a higher level of service, quality, fill in the blank, because at the end of the day, the price tag on those tickets is cray-cray. But some of these flights with the in-flight fight, nobody registered for that. Let's not even get into the hygiene of things. I try to stay as far away from those bathrooms. Can we just please make it a thing to use the washroom at the airport before and after the flight? I know some flights are long, like Japan was 13 hours, so I did use the washroom once when I first got on, and then I tried to sleep the rest of the flight. But the way it smelled after the first meal, I said, you guys really didn't have to do this? And we're confined. Be able to take some people to court for this. Still traumatized weeks later, clearly. You would think for something that's so expensive, it would have an expensive expensive air around it, but it's not really the case. A lot of people are having a hard time with their hang time with a lot of airlines, and I think that says a lot. Can we just talk about the fact that social media always plays a role in these videos? So many people are soaring in the sky so that they can go on these exotic trips and take the flicks to post on Instagram. It was once about self-discovery and exploration and immersing in a culture, which is personally my favorite part about traveling, has now been switched out and become a capitalist dream because all we're doing is chasing the same scenes. And have you ever seen the expectation versus reality? Greece? I'm looking at you. I've always wanted to go to Santorini, but not right now. Let it die down a lot of bit. And don't even get me started with the people that pay real money to sit on fake PJs to take a picture. It needs to be studied. This says so much about society, but at the end of the day, like I said, as long as we are committed to being our best selves, our most authentic selves, we can never go wrong. If you want more pods with me, you can check out Patreon and support. And until next week, stay blessed, stay authentic.